Have you ever been curious about why you can have a partner who may shut down the moment you become too emotional? Perhaps you express your emotion, you open up, and the moment the tears start to flow, or the moment your voice starts to crack and that emotion peeks through, you actually see the person begin to shut down and even pull away. Well, if you're curious about why this happens, I'm going to break it down for you in this video in a few simple steps. And if you stick around until the end, we'll actually go through an exercise for what you can do to mitigate this problem. In other words, to stop it from happening once and for all. Now, if you're new to this channel, my name is Thais, and I put daily videos out here about our love styles, aka attachment styles, about how to really improve the quality of our relationships and our personal life by targeting different challenges we may be facing at the subconscious level of mind. And I'm glad you're here for today. So basically, when we look at why somebody might shut down when they're in a relationship where their partner starts to be emotional, in that very moment, it's usually because they are repressing their own emotions. And this usually is somebody who is an avoidant attachment style. And I'm going to share my screen here with you. We're actually going to do an exercise here together at the end. But if you take a look here, an avoidant attachment style is really the avoidant partner in a relationship. They tend to be afraid of long term commitment and vulnerability. And this is most often because of something called childhood emotional neglect. In other words, what often happens to somebody who is an avoidant attachment style is that when they grow up and when they are originally getting conditioned in their upbringing, they usually have experiences where their parents are not emotionally available to them. And because a child's mind hyper personalizes everything, basically what ends up taking place is this child's mind will go, oh my gosh, there must be something wrong with me that I can't get these needs met because children crave for, they really yearn for emotional connection. And so when those needs are not getting met in somebody's childhood, they internalize this and they think it must be me. Something must be wrong with me. And they tend to actually, as a result of this programming, this conditioned experience, they tend to essentially assume that emotions are almost exclusively negative. They tend to think that when I express emotion, it's shameful and it makes me feel vulnerable and weak and essentially incapable. And when it's not positively reinforced when you express emotion, when in fact it's negatively reinforced because it's dismissed by parents or avoided by parents, this child learns to internalize that relationship to themselves. In other words, they will end up dismissing and avoiding their own emotions. So they tend to view emotions as a result of this as a negative thing. And when somebody in their life expresses emotion, they often, unfortunately, will feel secondhand shame. And they tend to think that, oh no, you must feel ashamed for expressing emotion because that's most of what their conditioning says. That's most of how they've been raised and what they've essentially been taught through their experiences. And so, what an avoidant will then tend to do in a relationship dynamic is they will try to give what they would need. And what they would need in a situation is to have somebody give them space, to have somebody pretend that they're not really noticing their emotions too much, trying to sort of deflect and make it not a big deal by diminishing the emotional reaction. But guess what this feels like to somebody who's the partner in that relationship, who's not an avoidant attachment style, and who's seeking to soothe through and with their partner? Well, it feels like a total dismissal of their reality, of their experience, and it causes them to feel quite hurt, especially if they didn't grow up with the same degree of childhood emotional neglect and if they don't have the same conditioned perceptions about emotions. So, here's what we can actually do about this, and we're going to map this out here together. Number one, we have to actually communicate about what we need when we feel emotional. So, let's say, for example, that you're in a position where you feel hurt or upset about your partner not texting you back or not communicating enough to you. Well, in this particular case, you need to communicate this in a matter of fact way. And we're going to do this together. So you might say something to your partner like, um, I feel upset about our text communication. Okay. And when you say this in a matter of fact way, you're taking the emotions that may be coming out as tears or maybe coming out as hurt in your voice. And you're actually, it's almost like alchemy, right? You're actually conveying very clearly what you're feeling. And what this is going to do is first help you feel relief because you're turning those emotions into words that will become essentially an outlet when you get to express them like that. Those emotions are finding their way out in a healthier form. The next thing you need to be able to do is you want to be able to actually ask for empathy. This person on the receiving end of this is probably empathizing with you, but not in a way where they're expressing it. Again, they're trying to sort of diminish your emotions and make them not a big deal because that's what they might need in the situation because they have conditioned shame about their own emotional experiences. So, an asking for empathy statement looks like, I want you to understand why I would feel the way that I'm feeling, or can you see how I would feel upset about our text communication, knowing what you know about me? And so you would actually ask for the person to put themselves in your shoes and understanding what they understand about you, see why you would be hurt by the situation. So you may say, can you understand why I would be hurt in this situation, in this situation, knowing what you know about me? Okay, so this isn't asking for empathy statement. You're asking for somebody to actively put themselves in your shoes. I just wanted to jump in and share something exciting. We are actually, for the first time ever, running a promotion for 60% off of your first month at the Personal Development School. And this gives you access to all of our courses, including all of the courses about different attachment styles and how to navigate those relationships together. So, for example, if you're full avoidant with a dismissive avoidant, how to really work through that relationship, all the different challenges, how to show up. We also have courses on boundaries, communication, healing your attachment style to becoming secure. So many different courses in there. But on top of that, I'm in there 3 days a week doing live webinars. So you can come in, ask me any questions that you have at any time, and I will be there to support you. And I'd love to chat with you. And we actually have trained coaches and facilitators who are in there all other days of the week except for Sunday. And there are community support events through them. There are webinars with them, smaller classes. So you have so much extra support in really integrating all of the materials and work in there. And I will say, as excited I am about the YouTube videos that we get to put out every single day, just because of the length of the courses and content, they're so much better than our YouTube content because you can go into so much more depth. There's workbooks, worksheets, and tons of support. So if you want to check it out and actually get 60% off of your first month for only $39 at the Personal Development School, I will put a link to access that down below. Then step three is you want to be specific about what you need. So you might say something like, I need to know that we're going to work on this together. And that looks like ABC. So that looks like us having a daily check in the evening. That looks like us having a daily check in the morning. That looks like us turning on our phone on loud throughout the week. Like you want to give a very specific, tangible step because when dismissive avoidance have the understanding in a matter of fact way, when they're asked to empathize and express that empathy in a way that's very clear, and then they can get out of their own perception of thinking, oh, you particularly would feel how I would feel in this situation. So I should diminish your emotions because that's what I would want or feel comfortable with. When you can take these first two steps, you get seen and you get heard, but then we have to solve the problem, right? We don't want this problem to continue or to come back a week later. So being specific about what we need, can we work on our text communication by having a daily check-in? And so what we're doing here is we're trying to make sure that this is the actionable step. We're having a daily check-in. Okay. You're asking for what we want to work on, but you're giving a very specific tangible step. This is what dismissive avoidant attachment styles respond the best to. And this tends to be what makes the relationship be able to evolve out of feeling like your emotions are not seen and heard, when instead it's really a misunderstanding about what this person thinks they should do in this situation. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to this channel, and I can't wait to see you in future videos.